Chapter 13, Fudge-A-Mania. This is called Captain Fudge. Look at my Mitzi, Fudge said early Sunday morning. The two of us were on the porch waiting for Grandma to call us in for breakfast. She makes pancakes as a special treat. Doesn't it look good? He handed his baseball glove to me. Feel how soft it is. What did you do? I asked. There were dark splotches all over it. Oiled it, like the man in the store said. What'd you use? Guess. I sniffed his glove. There was a familiar smell to it. I'll give you a hint, he sang. It's pink. Pink oil? Yes, he said. Do you give up? Yeah, I definitely give up. Oil of Olay. He gave me one of his satisfied smiles. You used oil of Olay on your mitt? Oil of Olay is a face lotion. He nodded proudly. Oil of Olay is for skin, turkey brain. Mom uses it on her face. I'm not a turkey brain. You're the turkey brain, and you're just jealous because your mitt's not as soft as mine. Yeah, right. And I'm jealous that my mitt doesn't smell like that pink stuff, too. I like that smell. I'm glad because you're going to be smelling it for a long time. What'd you do? Use up the whole bottle? The man in the store said to oil it every night. Remember? He said a few drops, and he was talking about neat's foot oil. What's neat's foot oil? It's what you're supposed to use on a baseball glove. I watched the expression on his face change as he got the message. Never oil of Olay? He asked in a small voice. I shook my head. Now he was about 2 seconds away from tears. Why didn't I just tell him his glove looked great? Why did I have to make such a big deal out of this? So I said, look, it's not like you did anything wrong. You were just being, I paused, trying to find just the right word. Creative? He asked. Yeah, creative. I handed him his glove and went to see what Jimmy was doing. He was still in bed, sound asleep. Hey, Jimmy, wake up. He rolled over and buried his head under the pillow. I'm not getting up today, he mumbled, curling himself into a ball. I pulled the covers off him. The ball game starts at 10 a.m. What ball game? You know what ball game. Oh, that ball game. I'll probably just strike out every time I'm up. So what? I said. It's not every day you get to play with Big Apple. I never even heard of this guy until you started in on him. Too bad, I said, because he's headed for the Hall of Fame. Who says? Jimmy asked. Says me. There were more people at the high school field than I had ever seen in Southwest Harbor, and more dogs than I had ever seen anywhere except in Central Park on a sunny day. Enough dogs for a team of their own. When Sheila saw all the dogs, she screamed and ran back to her father's car. I'll wait here, she said, slamming the door. It's going to be a long wait, Mr. Tubman told her. I don't mind, Sheila said. I brought a book, just in case. I thought you were not afraid of dogs anymore, I said. I'm not, once I know them. But strange dogs can give you diseases. Not if you don't kiss them, I said. Ha ha. If you change your mind, Mr. Tubman began. I'll never change my mind, Sheila told him. Mr. Tubman shook his head, but he didn't force Sheila out of the car. Jimmy and I headed for the field. I stopped in my tracks when I saw this great-looking girl in a red striped t-shirt stretching out near third base. It was Isabel. That's her, I told Jimmy. He gave me a blank look. Isabel from the library, I said. Really? Jimmy asked. That's Izzy? Yeah? She's incredibly ugly. What are crazy? I said, she's beautiful. Jimmy slapped his thigh and laughed. I got you that time, he said. Very funny, I told him. There were other familiar faces, too. The woman who owns Oz Books was there. I call her Dorothy of Oz, even though that's not her real name. And the butcher from Sawyer's Market, Bicycle Bob, was there, too. He said, "So, how's the newest member of the ISAF club?" "Great," I told him. "Keeping your mouth shut?" he asked. "I'm trying." "That's the way." He cuffed me on the shoulder. Suddenly, a low murmur ran through the crowd. Everyone looked toward home plate. And there he was, dressed in full Red Sox uniform, Big Apfel, in the flesh. I recognized him right away. First, by his height, 6 feet 6 inches without spikes. And second, because he still looks a lot like the picture on his baseball card, except he's gained a few pounds and now has gray hair. Everyone gathered around him. You could feel the excitement. Mitzi and Fudge were right in the middle of it, each with an arm around one of Big's legs. I tried to work my way closer, but I got shoved aside by a guy from the hardware store. My heart was pounding. "Please let me be on his team," I prayed. "I'll never ask for another thing if I can just play on his team." Then Big spoke, and his voice boomed. "As most of you already know, these old knees aren't what they used to be. I can't take the field or run the bases anymore." He looked right at me and nodded as if he knew me. "But I can still knock one out of here every now and then." I cheered with the crowd. "So, to be fair," Big continued, "I bat for both sides." Everybody cheered again. Everyone except me. "What?" I said. "How can he bat for both sides? That's impossible. It's against the official rules." "When in Rome," some woman who was standing next to me said. I glared at her. She glared back, and I repeated the whole phrase as if she repeated the whole phrase as if I hadn't gotten it the first time. "When in Rome, do as the Romans do." "I've got news for you," I told her, feeling my face turn hot. "We're not in Rome." "And I've got news for you, Junior," she said. "Rudeness will not be tolerated in this game." "Who's being rude?" I asked. "Cut it out, Peter," Jimmy whispered, grabbing my arm. I shook him off. "Calm down, will you?" he said. "It's just a game." "I suppose you think it's fair for him to bat for both sides?" "Yeah, I do." I looked away. My throat felt tight. Big grabbed a fistful of straws, and everyone who wanted to be captain drew one, including Jimmy and me. "Look," Fudge said, holding up a short straw. "I'm captain." Isabel held up the other short straw. "I'm captain too." "I can't believe this," I said. "Maybe she'll pick you for her team," Jimmy said. "Yeah, sure." I wasn't about to admit I was hoping for the same thing. "Hey, Izzy," Fudge called. "I'm writing that book. I'm already on chapter 4. "Fantastic," Isabel called back. "Let's go," some guy with a serpent tattoo shouted. "Choose up sides. This is a ball game, not a social hour." Captain Fudge, with his oil of Olay mitt, got to choose first. So, who did he pick? The biggest, strongest looking player? No, that would have made too much sense. He chose Mitzi. Then it was Isabel's turn. If I were the amazing Kirchkin, I'd be able to make her choose me. I concentrated on my name, trying to get the message through to her. Peter Warren Hatcher, Peter Warren Hatcher. Isabel looked at me and smiled. Yes, I thought, it's going to work. I closed my eyes. When I did, Isabel chose Tony Ickle. Then Fudge picked me. Goodbye, Isabel. I tried to get him to choose Jimmy next so that at least I'd have a friend on my team. But did he listen? No. And Jimmy wound up on Isabel's team. Nothing was working out the way I had planned. Absolutely nothing. On our side of the field, Win and Rome was on first, I was on second, and Buzzy Sr. was on third. Fudge and Mitzi stood right next to each other at shortstop, and Dad was on the mound. Isabel's team lined up. Tony Ickle was their first batter. Dad threw the first fastball, but it was wild. He threw 6 more before he settled down. Luckily for us, it was a no-walk game. Tony popped up the first one that crossed the plate. It came toward me. I was ready for it, but I took my eyes off the ball just for a second, just to make sure Big Apfel was watching. When I did, the ball dropped at my feet. I picked it up and panicked. My throw to first went over the head of Win and Rome. "Wake up, Junior!" she yelled. "Where are your eyes, in the back of your head?" I could feel everyone staring at me. I swallowed hard and blinked back tears. If only I could do it over. I know I'd make the catch. "It's all right, Peter," Dad said. "We all make mistakes." Sure, I thought, but we don't all make 2 on the first play of the game. My legs were shaking and I felt Grandma's pancakes bouncing around in my stomach. Before the first half of the first inning was over, Isabel's team had 5 runs, and Big hadn't even come up. When he did, he slammed one out of sight, and 2 more runs scored. Finally, it was our turn at bat. Bicycle Bob was on the mound for Isabel's team, and he put every pitch right down the middle. By the time I came up, we had 2 on and 2 out. Okay, I thought, this is it. This is my big chance. I can make up for my errors now. All I have to do is concentrate. I stood up to the plate. Bicycle Bob wasn't going to get anything by me. I could feel Big watching. I could feel him thinking, this guy might have potential after all. Bicycle Bob wound up and threw the first pitch. I took a huge cut and missed, spinning all the way around. "It's Fudge-A-Mania!" Mitzi sang. "No, it's not," Fudge told her. "It's a strike." "Oh," Mitzi said, disappointed. I took another swing and missed again. "Keep your eye on the ball, Pete," Fudge called. Just what I needed. My 5-year-old brother giving me tips at the plate. Bicycle Bob threw the next pitch. This time I was ready for it. I heard the crack of the bat as it connected with the ball. It was a good, strong shot. But wait! It was headed straight for Grandma, who was playing deep at third. "Run!" my team yelled. I ran for first, trying to keep my eye on Grandma at the same time. I hoped the ball wouldn't knock her down, but I was worried for nothing because Grandma jumped with her glove held high. She made a fantastic catch. I was out. Isabel's team cheered. "Thanks a lot, Grandma." Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. We were back on the field. Isabel came up to the plate. She's one of those players who wiggles the bat. Actually, she wiggles more than the bat, but I tried not to notice. She knocked a slow grounder right at Mitzi, but Mitzi knew what to do. She had her glove on the ground and her legs together so the ball couldn't get through. She stopped it, picked it up. "Look," she said, showing everyone, "I got the ball." "Throw!" we all yelled at her. She looked confused, then threw the ball to Fudge, who was standing right next to her. By then, Isabel was on her way to second. "Here!" I yelled at Fudge. But instead of throwing the ball, he ran over and personally handed it to me. By then, Isabel was on her way to third. "Throw, Peter!" Buzzy Sr. yelled. But I was scared I'd throw it away again, so I decided to fake throw instead, and it worked. Isabel headed back to second. When she realized I still had the ball, she turned and tried to run for third again. We had her trapped between the bases, so there was only one sure way to get her out. I ran after her. It wasn't my fault she changed directions again, and we collided, falling to the ground together. "This isn't football," she shouted. Then she stood up, brushed herself off, and marched off the field. "Yeah, Izzy!" Fudge cheered. "She's on the other team," I told him. "You're supposed to cheer for me. I'm the one who tagged her out." "Yay, Pete!" he said, and Mitzi cheered, jumping up and down. They were the only ones who did. As if that weren't enough, in the final inning, Jimmy hit a perfect double to left field, and Big shouted, "Way to go, son!" I thought Big wasn't supposed to root for either team. I thought he was supposed to stay neutral. Finally, the game was over. Captain Fudge didn't mind that his team lost 26-8, or that he struck out every time he came to bat. He and Jimmy yacked all the way home. They sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." They made plans for next Sunday's game. "I thought you have to leave on Thursday," I said. "Nah, my dad said as long as the weather's good, we can stay a while longer." "Great," I said, but I wasn't sure I really meant it. "Big says I have real potential," Jimmy told me. "He says I just have to build up my confidence. He says once I have my confidence, there won't be any stopping me. I might even be headed for the majors." "Great," I said again. Now I knew how Dad felt yesterday on the boat, like a real loser. "And it's all thanks to you, Peter," Jimmy said, dropping his arm over my shoulder. "If you hadn't forced me out of bed this morning, none of this would have happened. You're really my best friend." "And you're my best brother," Fudge said, planting a sticky kiss on my face. Maybe I'm not such a loser, I thought. Maybe today just wasn't my day. But next Sunday could be completely different. Next Sunday, I might make a fantastic catch and hit a grand slam home run. Anything's possible in baseball. This time, when Jimmy and Fudge started another round of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," I sang with them. Mom hit the shower as soon as we got home, and when she came out, she called, "Fudgy, where's my oil of Olay?" "Mr. Zoomin took it, Mom," Fudge said. Mr. Zoomin is the guy who picks up the trash twice a week. "Why would Mr. Zoomin have taken my oil of Olay?" "Because the bottle was empty." Fudge was trying on a red bandana around Turtle's neck. All the dogs at the game wore bandanas. "But it was a brand new bottle," Mom said. "It was still empty, Mom." "But you said you only needed a few drops for Mitzi." "Not Mitzi," Fudge said. "My Mitzi." "Your what?" Mom asked. "You know, my baseball glove." "You used my oil of Olay on your baseball glove?" Fudge undid the bandana from Turtle's neck and tied it around his leg instead. Turtle barked. "You used all my oil of Olay on your Mitzi?" Mom asked. "Right," Fudge said. "I can't believe this," Mom said to herself. "All my oil of Olay?" "Olay," Uncle Feather said, and Sheila came into the room. "Olay." "I didn't know your bird speaks Spanish," Sheila said. "He doesn't," I told her, "but I just heard him say Olay." Sheila went over to Uncle Feather's cage and snapped her fingers. "Olay," she sang. "Olay, olay," Uncle Feather sang back. "You see," Sheila said to me. "It's not that kind of olay," I said. "It's O-L-A-Y. "How could you possibly know that?" Sheila asked. "Believe me, I know." All right, my friends, tomorrow, last chapter. I hope you're loving Fudge-A-Mania.